Hey folks, so I've got the bike up on the stand today. Took it for a long test ride a couple of days back on some quite technical single track and definitely found out what its strengths and weaknesses are. It's got a little lower clearance than your average mountain bike because the geometry of the frame is actually more gravel oriented. So that meant that going over big roots and rocks and stuff wasn't quite as nice as it could have been. But that isn't really what the bike's been built for. Having said that, there are definitely some things I want to tweak about it before this race, and also before I do any more test rides. So I'm just going to talk through in detail what those adjustments are going to be. So there'll be no surprises to hear that I've swapped out the chainring for a 34 tooth to replace the 38 tooth I had on before. I just wasn't getting up the steep gradients of Armenia anywhere near easily enough in combination with this cassette. So 34 on the front it is. I'm not quite as keen on these brakes as I think Richard at Oxford Bike Works was hoping I was going to be. These are quite basic entry-level Shimano hydraulic disc brakes. I think they come from the Alivio range. Don't quote me on that. But with 160mm rotors, both front and rear, they're just not biting quite as keenly or giving me the amount of control that I feel like I need on the dirt roads of this country, especially when I'm going fast in a racing scenario. So I'm going to try them one more time with luggage and on slightly less steep terrain, but if I'm still not happy, I might try swapping them out for my 15-year-old Magura Louise brakes, which I've had on my mountain bike for a decade and a half now and absolutely love. Pretty sure that I'll be able to put an adapter on here and use the slightly bigger rotors with them, but I think I'm going to do one more ride before I commit to that one. You might have noticed I've already swapped out the handlebars from the ones that I was originally given. These are rather lovely bamboo riser bars from Pashia. I hope that's how you pronounce it. They're a small outfit from New Zealand who are producing pretty much just bamboo handlebars. And because I had some neck issues a couple of years ago, I decided that trying out something a little bit more supple would be a good idea, rather than something extremely harsh and stiff like you would normally want on an off-road bike with suspension. This, combined with the fact that it's a rigid fork that I'm riding on, I think in theory made it much more attractive, and in practice I can say that just the sheer level of comfort you get from the extra flex of these bamboo bars is quite wonderful. Richard did ask me to avoid chopping down the steerer tube, but I ultimately do have to ride 1,200 kilometers in 8 days on this bike, and I do need the real estate on the stem top for a phone mount, because I'm not going to be able to put it anywhere else. So I'm going to chop that down and possibly move the stem up another centimetre while I'm doing so. Yeah, and I'll also get rid of this bell, which basically just tells everybody that I'm on a bumpy road. And finally, these tyres, I know that they are race tyres and they're nice and light, a little bit of tread, quite fast, but I'm not actually sure they are the best tyre for a race like this, where you're doing vast distances on reasonably smooth dirt, gravel or asphalt. So these may go relatively soon. I'm going to go for one more ride on them and then decide. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. I'm going to give the bike a couple more tweaks based on the parts that I've actually got in the box already. Take it for another spin, this time on an overnighter, and then see what else I want to tweak. Still got plenty of time before the race. So yeah, there we go. Bike nerds rejoice.